Monday night's 2-hour episode of 24 on Fox Television marks the end of the show's 4th season. Recently, I visited the set of 24's counterterrorism unit in California for exclusive conversations with the creators and cast of the series approaching their final episodes. I spoke with Kiefer Sutherland, who plays Jack Bauer, also an executive producer on the show, and the creators and executive producers Joel Surnow and Robert Cochran, plus 3 other members of the cast: Kim Raver, who plays Audrey Raines, Carlos Bernard, who plays Tony Almeida, and Arnold Vosloo in the role of the terrorist Marwan. Here are those interviews. So here we are at the headquarters of CTU with 2 people who produce it, and the star and also the producer. What can you tell us about what we might expect?
Well, obviously the one main story that we've been following all season, which is the capture of Marwan, will be played out. But in addition to that, we are going to bring back this element of the assault on the Chinese consulate that Jack Bauer led in episode 20. And by the end of the season, that will actually trump the Marwan story. We will dispense with the Marwan story at the beginning of episode 24, and then the rest plays out the ramifications from this assault.
What's interesting about it, Bob, is that you're introducing characters we knew before. You originally intended, I assume you've known you were going to do that all along. On the other hand, I read that the plot is not like the first 2 seasons when you knew what all the episodes were going to be, that you do this, in a sense, with a 2 or 3 or 4 episode lead time.
That's if we're lucky.
It might be early. Yeah.
I think it has gotten more difficult every year. And first year we were usually 5 or 6 ahead with maybe some idea of what was coming up. The last couple of years, and particularly this year, we just surrendered to doing them 2 at a time. And if we had a notion that this element in this episode can lead us into other episodes later on, that's great. But if we had 2 episodes that we felt worked, we were grateful for that, and we did it, and then we went on to the next 2.
How long ago did you lock in the finale in terms of where the story would end?
In terms of what the last beat would be, it's been probably a few weeks or a couple of months since we kind of knew, however we get to it, we're going to get to that place, but we may not have known the steps in between.
Mm. The international sensation that this is, the finance minister of France was on my television program, and I mentioned 24, and he said, "Oh, I know that show. I'm familiar with that show. It's thousands of millions of viewers in Japan." What is it, you think, that makes it not only an American phenomenon, but an international phenomenon?
Well, I think it's the only American show exported that deals with international situations. Even though they're played out in the United States, they're international interests, whether it's from the Middle East or from, we've had Russian characters, Eastern
Balkan
European,
characters.
Yeah. So Korea, we've had scenes played in Korea. We like to think that this is an international show that happens to be playing out here. I also think it's just also a classic American action thriller with an American hero, and I think that exports. I think if you look at the movies that do well overseas, they're more Rambo than On Golden Pond. You know, I mean, overseas likes the adrenaline rush of an American thriller and American action.
And they like an American action hero.
Absolutely.
At the center of the
drama. I
drama.
think they do. Yeah.
Who in the end will save America?
Well, he has every year up to now, so we're still here.
Is Jack Bauer up to it again, Kiefer?
Well, one hopes. I think one of the things, I mean, almost going back to another quality of what certainly I responded to as an actor when I first read the show, and I think something that they have done a phenomenal job maintaining through the 4 years. And I can't express to you how difficult trying to write within the constraints and restrictions of a time element are. But this character has never been perfect. This is a character that has the best intentions, is highly qualified, incredibly well trained, and then human. And we've never forgot that 4th aspect of his humanity. There are going to be times when, as a human, he will make a call and it will be an error. The first season, he lost his wife. There has never been a situation that he's come out scoring a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
And yet, what I have found amazing is that audiences have accepted that. Given, obviously, incredible circumstances with which he's forced to deal, audiences are incredibly forgiving for someone who's trying to do the right thing. And I think that that's been something that's been incredibly appealing. Specifically abroad, I'm very interested in that because of so many different countries' perspective of America. I think that that's a different quality that I certainly have not seen a great deal of in American film.
A character who's making difficult choices in the interest of an overall good,
right?
But innocent people are suffering in them.
And paying the price. He always pays the price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
the dilemma for the central character who always has to make a choice.
Right. Right. And the terrible choices. Are these 10 people expendable to save this 1,000? That's an unfair choice.
Or the episode we saw on May 2nd, there's one doctor left.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you got 2 people that might die. And one can unlock this or save.
It completely has to go his personal vested interest in his girlfriend and everything else for what he believes is, in all fairness, more important.
What do you want us to understand about Jack Bauer beyond this notion that he is a human with all the emotions and all the difficult choices to make, even more so because of his line of work?
I think the one thing that I've always tried to hold on to in approaching any scene, any line of dialogue, whether the outcome shows that he was correct or not correct, this man's conviction in what he believes in and what he thinks is right is absolute. And he's willing to take a chance and act upon that. And I think that in a world of people that are second-guessing so many situations, from their own politics to the way they live their lives, this is someone who actually knows that he can make a mistake, but believes in his heart so deeply that he's correct in what he's choosing to do, that he's going to act upon that. And that is something that I really appreciate about the character, and I hope that audiences are as well.
As you have watched the character unfold in the person of Kiefer Sutherland, does he define a Jack Bauer that you guys thought about at the beginning?
Well,
or do you let a character develop because of the way the stories unfold and you understand who he is by that development?
That's certainly true, that the characters are defined by how they act in the given circumstances, but I have to say, we had a notion for who Jack Bauer would be. The idea that he was flawed was certainly in there, but Kiefer came in and just inhabited that character and just took it, made it so believable. I mean, from our point of view, we're pushing the envelope all the time as writers and trying to put him in situations that are, maybe if you describe them objectively, you would say, wow, that's very unlikely, or that's very, you know.